It was the kind of silence that haunts you, the kind that falls over an arena not out of boredom, but out of genuine, heart-stopping fear. We saw a man clutch his knee, screaming in agony, his face twisted in a way that you just cannot fake. We saw the trainers rush out. We saw the X thrown up by the referee. And in that moment, we didn't see a superstar. We didn't see a visionary. We saw a human being whose dreams had just shattered into a million pieces on the canvas. The dirt sheets confirmed it. The doctors confirmed it. Even his rivals, the men who hated him most, looked on with pity. They told us he was done. They told us the knee was shredded. They told us to prepare for a world without Seth Rollins. And we believed them. We believed every single word. But what if I told you that the tears, the crutches, the heartbreaking announcements, were all part of the most elaborate, manipulative, and brilliant deception in the history of this business? What if I told you that while we were crying for him, he was laughing at us? By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how one man played the entire world like a fiddle, and exposed the biggest lie WWE has ever told. But before we pull back the curtain on this masterclass of manipulation, I need to ask you something. We pour our hearts into these stories here at SLAMZONE because we know how much this sport means to you. We are building a family here, a community of people who live and breathe wrestling just like I do. If you love this passion, if you want to be part of a home where we dig deeper than anyone else, please, just take a second to hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment of the action. It really does help us keep the lights on and the stories coming, and honestly, it would mean the world to have you with us on this journey. Now, let me take you back to that humid night at SummerSlam. The air in the stadium is thick, heavy with the sweat and anticipation of 60,000 screaming fans. The main event has just concluded, and it was a war. A literal war. In the center of the ring stands CM Punk, his chest heaving, blood trickling down his forehead, mixing with the sweat to sting his eyes. He has just done the impossible. He has just defeated Gunther. The ring general, the man they said could not be beaten, is lying in a heap on the outside, staring up at the lights, defeated for the first time in what feels like an eternity. Punk is clutching the World Heavyweight Championship, his knuckles white as he grips the gold. You can see the emotion pouring out of him. This is his moment. This is the fairytale ending he came back for. The crowd is deafening, a roar that shakes the very foundations of the stadium. CM Punk. CM Punk. The chant is rhythmic, tribal. He climbs the turnbuckle, raising the title high, closing his eyes to soak in the adoration. He is battered. He is bruised. His leg is dragging slightly from the punishment Gunther inflicted on it for 30 grueling minutes. But he is the champion. And then, the static hits. Burn it down. The scream tears through the speakers, cutting through the celebration like a knife. The crowd's roar shifts instantly from triumph to shock. Confusion ripples through the stands. Why? Why is his music playing? He's injured. We all know he's injured. We saw the reports. He's supposed to be out for months. Seth Rollins emerges from the tunnel. But he's not dancing. He's not wearing his flashy, sequined robes. He's in street clothes, looking disheveled, a frantic desperation in his eyes. And he is on crutches. The sight is heartbreaking. He's hobbling, struggling to even make it down the ramp. He looks like a man who has discharged himself from the hospital against doctor's orders just to be here, just to see the title he never lost. The referee in the ring looks confused. CM Punk, still on the turnbuckle, looks down with a mix of annoyance and pity. He sees a crippled man. He sees a former rival who is a shell of himself. Punk lowers the title, shaking his head, perhaps preparing to grab a microphone and tell Rollins to go home and heal up. Rollins is halfway down the ramp now. He stumbles. He nearly falls. The crowd gasps, a collective intake of breath from 60,000 people. A security guard reaches out to steady him, but Rollins shoves him away. He's screaming something at the ring, his face red, veins bulging in his neck. It looks like a breakdown. It looks like a man who can't accept reality. He drags himself to the steel steps. Clang! The sound of the crutch hitting the steel rings out. He throws one crutch into the ring, then the other. He grabs the ropes, pulling himself up with his arms, his legs dangling uselessly. It's pathetic. It's sad. Punk is watching him like a hawk, but he's not in a fighting stance. Why would he be? He's looking at a man with one good leg. Punk steps forward, maybe to offer a hand, maybe to tell him to get out of his ring. Rollins rolls under the bottom rope. He tries to stand, wobbling on his injured left knee. He collapses. The crowd sighs. This is hard to watch. Punk walks over, the champion looming over the fallen challenger. He leans down, saying something we can't hear. Probably it's over, Seth. Go home. And then, in a split second, the atmosphere changes. The temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. Rollins looks up. And the pain in his face? It vanishes. The desperation? Gone. Replaced by a cold, sadistic smirk. In one fluid motion, Seth Rollins springs from the canvas. He doesn't wobble. He doesn't stumble. He explodes upwards like a coiled viper. He kicks CM Punk in the gut, doubling him over. The crowd hasn't even processed what they are seeing yet. The brain is trying to catch up with the eyes. Wait, his knee. He was just. Rollins hits the ropes. He is sprinting. Sprinting. The man who couldn't walk 10 seconds ago is moving at the speed of light. He rebounds, leaps into the air curb stomp. Punk's head is driven into the mat with a sickening thud. The champion is out cold. The stadium is stunned into silence. Absolute, bewildered silence. Rollins stands over the fallen body of CM Punk. He looks at his own knee, the one wrapped in a heavy brace. He laughs. A maniacal, cackling laugh that echoes through the arena. He reaches down and tears the knee brace off, throwing it into the crowd. He stomps his foot hard on the canvas. Once, twice, 3 times. It's perfectly fine. It's strong. It's healthy. He points to the briefcase. The Money in the Bank briefcase that he had handed to the timekeeper moments before the camera cut to him. We forgot he even had it. We were so focused on the crutches. Cash it in. Rollins screams at the referee. Ring the bell. The referee is hesitant. He looks at Punk, who is motionless. He looks at Rollins, who is practically vibrating with adrenaline. He nods. He signals the timekeeper. Ding, ding, ding. Rollins doesn't waste a second. He grabs Punk by the hair, dragging him up. Punk is dead weight. He has no idea where he is. He just went 30 minutes with the hardest hitter in the company, and now he's been ambushed by a ghost. Rollins hooks the arms. He spins him. Pedigree. He hooks the leg. 1, 2, 3. The bell rings. The music hits. Burn it down. And just like that, Seth Rollins is the world heavyweight champion. The crowd erupts, but it's not just cheers. It's a mix of outrage, shock, and awe. Garbage starts flying into the ring. Cups, trays, signs. They feel betrayed. They feel used. They spent weeks worrying about this man, tweeting their support, defending him against the trolls. And he played them. He played us all. He stands on the turnbuckle, swinging the title belt over his head. He looks directly into the hard cam. He doesn't say I'm back. He doesn't say I'm the best. He mouths 2 words, gotcha. This wasn't just a heel turn. This was a masterclass in psychological warfare. Think about the layers of this. For weeks, we saw him on Raw, sitting in the backstage area with ice packs. We saw the paparazzi photos of him leaving the airport in a wheelchair. We heard the rumors from the insiders, the same insiders who claimed to know everything, reporting that surgery was scheduled for Tuesday. Rollins fed them that info. He leaked his own fake medical reports. He created a narrative so convincing that even the smartest fans, the ones who claim to know how the sausage is made, ate it up. The commentary team is losing their minds. Michael Cole is screaming about the betrayal. He lied to us. He lied to the medical staff. He lied to the fans, and for once, it doesn't feel like a line. You can hear the genuine shock in Cole's voice. He was fooled too. Rollins rolls out of the ring, clutching his newly won prize. He walks up the ramp, no limp, no hesitation. He passes the announce table and winks at Pat McAfee. He knows what he's done. He hasn't just stolen a title, he's stolen the moment. He took CM Punk's fairytale return, the moment he had worked so hard for, and he turned it into a footnote in the Seth Rollins legacy. As he stands at the top of the stage, looking out over the sea of confused and angry faces, you realize something. This is what makes wrestling the greatest form of storytelling on earth. No other medium could pull this off. In a movie, you know the actor isn't really hurt. In sports, an injury is just a tragedy. But in wrestling? In the blurred lines between reality and fiction, an injury is a weapon. And Seth Rollins just used it to nuke the entire landscape of WWE. We are watching a man who understands the modern audience better than anyone else. He knows we read the rumors. He knows we follow the backstage gossip. So he weaponized the dirt sheets against us. He used our own thirst for inside information to blind us to what was happening right in front of our faces. This is the art of the work. And nobody, absolutely nobody, does it better than the visionary. I want to take a quick breather here because my heart is racing just reliving that moment. If you are enjoying this breakdown, if you're feeling the adrenaline of that night all over again, please do me a huge favor. Smash that like button right now. It helps the video get found by other wrestling fans who need to see this story. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to SLAMZONE. Join the family. We do this every single week, and we want you here with us. Now, let's go deeper. Because what we saw on TV was only the surface. The recently released WWE Unreal Season 2 documentary on Netflix has exposed the true depth of this lie, and the details are absolutely staggering. This wasn't just a TV storyline where he pretended to limp for 2 hours on Monday nights. This was a 24/7 method acting performance that lasted for nearly a month. The documentary reveals that Seth Rollins committed to this ruse of the century with a level of dedication that borders on insanity. He explains in the documentary that he had to live the lie. He couldn't risk a fan snapping a photo of him walking normally at the grocery store or the gym. So, for 3 weeks, Seth Rollins lived his life on crutches. He went to the gym on crutches. He went to dinner on crutches. He took his daughter to preschool on crutches. And speaking of his daughter, there is a moment in the documentary that is both hilarious and terrifying for him. Rollins tells the story of how his daughter, Rue, almost blew the entire operation. She's a kid, she doesn't understand kayfabe. She just knows daddy has a boo-boo. But kids talk. And the first thing she did was go to her preschool teacher, Ms. Joy, and tell her all about daddy's fake boo-boo. Can you imagine the panic? The entire multi-million-dollar storyline, the SummerSlam main event, the massive payoff, all hanging in the balance because a toddler told her teacher the truth during circle time. Rollins talks about the sweat on his brow, praying that Ms. Joy wasn't a wrestling fan or didn't have a Twitter account. It shows you how fragile these massive moments really are. But the deception went even deeper. Rollins reveals that he even lied to his own friends in the locker room. The documentary shows footage of superstars coming up to him backstage, offering their condolences, telling him, "You'll come back stronger, man." And Rollins looks them dead in the eye, thanks them, and keeps the lie going. He says in the interview, "If you have that much doubt, that's where the magic happens." He knew that if the boys in the back thought it was a work, it would leak. It always leaks. So he had to work the boys to work the fans. Only a tiny circle knew. His wife, Becky Lynch, obviously knew, and the documentary shows she wasn't exactly thrilled about having to lie to her own friends and family for weeks. Paul Heyman knew. Triple H knew. And that was it. Even the medical staff was kept in the dark to a degree, with Rollins using his own personal doctors to forge the narrative. The documentary frames this as the ultimate gamble. There is a scene on the tour bus where Paul Heyman looks at Rollins and says, "We have one shot to really nail this." If the crowd sniffed it out, if they saw him put weight on the leg for a split second, the whole thing collapses. It becomes a cheesy angle instead of a legendary swerve. And let's look at the victims of this lie. CM Punk. The documentary captures his reaction, and while he refused to be interviewed for the series, you can see the frustration. He had his moment stolen. But you also see the respect. In this business, if you can fool the boys, you've earned your stripes. But WWE Unreal didn't just expose Rollins, it exposed the chaotic, sometimes incompetent reality of the machine behind him. While Rollins was executing a flawless plan, the writer's room was apparently in shambles. The documentary exposes pitches that would have destroyed careers. Imagine a world where Pat McAfee defeated Gunther at Backlash. Yes, that was a real pitch discussed in the writer's room. Bruce Pritchard actually suggested it. The documentary shows the room's reaction or lack thereof until one brave soul pointed out that having your monster heel lose to a commentator might be a bad idea. It highlights the brilliance of Rollins even more. He was operating at a genius level in a system that was simultaneously pitching ideas that made no sense. It shows that while the machine can be clunky, individual brilliance can still shine through. Rollins took the ball, he deflated it, he hit it, and then he scored a touchdown while everyone was looking for the air pump. The ruse of the century wasn't just about winning a title. It was about proving a point. In an era where spoilers are everywhere, where everything is leaked on social media 5 minutes before it happens, Seth Rollins proved that we can still be fooled. He proved that kayfabe isn't dead, it just evolved. It moved from the ring to Twitter, from the promos to the paparazzi photos. He forced us to look in the mirror and admit that we don't know as much as we think we do. And in doing so, he gave us a feeling we haven't had in a long time, genuine, unadulterated shock. So when he stood on that stage at SummerSlam, holding the World Heavyweight Championship, laughing at our anger, he wasn't just a villain. He was a magician who had just performed the greatest trick of his life. He exposed the lie that we are smart fans. He showed us that we are all just marks waiting to be worked. And honestly, we should thank him for it. Because moments like that, the confusion, the anger, the realization, the awe, that is why we watch. That is why we obsess. That is why we are SLAMZONE. Thank you so much for watching. If this story gave you chills, if it reminded you why you love this crazy business, please hit that like button. Share this video with a friend who got worked by Seth Rollins. We all know one. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on those notifications. We have so many more stories to tell, so many more secrets to uncover. Until next time, keep your eyes open, because in the WWE, nothing is ever what it seems.